Hello everyone, I am Dr. Aravind, Department of Pharmacology. Now we are going to discuss about anti-anginal drugs. So angina pectoris. What is angina pectoris? So we can divide angina pectoris into two parts, angina, another one pectus. So angina means to strangulate, pectus means chest. So this angina pectoris is characterized by sudden severe pressing chest pain or heaviness that is radiating to the left arm, neck, jaw, back, even abdomen also. It will spread that chest pain. So here the chest pain means some heaviness, some 10 kg or 20 kg weight put on your chest. Like that the pain will be there. The patient had this chest pain and the left that is radiating to the left arm. It may enter into the right arm also, right arm, right shoulder. Like that it can go neck, jaw, then back. It is also associated with sweating, tachypnea, and nausea. What is the reason? Means there is a reduced coronary blood flow because our heart muscle getting oxygen from the coronary arteries. So in that coronary artery, there is a reduced blood flow. So that is insufficient to meet the metabolic demands of myocardium because our heart should pump out the blood. For that, our heart need energy. That energy, it will get it from the our coronary arteries blood. So in that, if there is a reduced blood flow, so it is insufficient to meet the metabolic demands. So it is unable to give that oxygen to that energy to the myocardium. So our heart cannot pump out the blood. So next one, ischemia infarction. What is ischemia? Ischemia means it is a reduced blood flow. So it is a first stage. Then infarction. Infarction means because of this reduced blood flow, at one stage, there is a complete blockage of the vessel. Because of that one, there will be a death of a tissue due to interruption of blood supply. So if the blood supply is completely interrupted, that area of tissue distal to that obstruction, that blood vessel will become die. That is called infarction. We can say it as a myocardial infarction also. Next one, this is acute coronary syndrome. So here our plaque means atherosclerosis. We know fat plaque. This fat, it will obstruct our blood vessel along with the blood clot. Because of that one, our blood cannot enter into the other places. Because of that one, see here the heart area, there is a blockage. Here the heart function well, but here this black area, brown black area, it is ischemic part of the heart or infarcted part of the heart. This area will die. It will become necrosis. Because of that one, our heart will become very, very weak. It is unable to pump out the blood. So this is coronary artery. There is a blood clot. It completely obstructing the blood vessel. Because of that one, the blood flow here, it is reduced. So because of reduced blood supply, here our heart become necrosis. So here the symptoms, what will be the symptoms? There will be a chest pain. It's the most common. The patient will feel that a squeezing kind of pain. Along with it will radiate to the left shoulder, left arm, then here the neck, jaw, then back side, even right side also it will go. Then other symptoms, there will be shortness of breath, cold clammy skin, nausea, and lightheadedness. There is a three types of angina. First one, stable or classical angina. There is a most common variety. Then unstable angina. It is a pre-infarction angina. Pre-infarction angina means first here the ischemia. Next, the heart muscle started to die. That is pre-infarction angina. Then prinzmetal or variant angina. That is due to vasospastic angina. So here this is stable and unstable angina. There is a reduced blood flow due to atheromatous plaque because of some this kind of fat and a blood clot. But here prinzmetal or variant angina means there is a vasospasm. There is no blood clot obstruction. There is no fat obstruction, only vasospasm. So here stable or classical angina, it's the most common. It is angina of effort or exertion angina. We can call it this stable or classical angina. Another name is angina of effort or exertional angina. Because if you do some exercise, some emotion, meals, like that, if you're doing something activity, it will produce angina. Ischemia here the caused by fixed atheromatous stenosis of larger coronary arteries. Morning, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Then it lasts for several seconds and subsides on rest. So because after the chest pain started, it will subside on the rest. Then unstable angina. Unstable angina, pre-infarction angina. Already I told the pre-infarction angina means there will be a reduced blood supply. Because of that one, our heart started to die. Then recurrent attacks of angina. So here we can get recurrent attacks. So again it will come of angina, even with a minimal exertion or at rest. So if you do some here from bed to chair, if you are walking, you will get angina. Even at rest time also, you will get angina because of this progressive atheromatous narrowing of coronary vessels along with a vasospasm. Then patient should be hospitalized to prevent impending MI because the patient it's a pre-infarction angina. So soon after the patient will get the MI. Because of that one, he should be hospitalized and he should be treated to prevent myocardial infarction. Then principal or variant angina. So here the pain will appear even during the rest time or during sleeping time it will come. It is unrelated to exercise. Due to recurrent coronary vasospasm, reduced coronary blood flow. So because already I told you principal angina, so due to vasospasm of the coronary blood vessel. Because of vasospasm, there is a reduced blood supply. Then deteriorate into unstable angina because again it will produce vasospasm. Because of that one, it will turn into unstable angina. Then it will go for myocardial infarction. So because of vasospasm only this principal angina happening. For that, if you give vasodilators, it will respond very well. Then here we will show the atheromatous plaque, how they are restricting the blood supply. See, because of this atheromatous plaque, more blood are coming, but here only the reduced amount of blood only going. Because of that one only, our heart become necrosis. Because of that one, our heart become very weak. Then anti-anginal drugs. So first line drugs, we say organic nitrates. Organic nitrates, that rapid onset, short acting. So they will act very fast and very short acting. That is amyl nitrate, nitroglycerin. Another name is glyceryl trinitrate or GTN. Then slow onset, long acting. Isosorbate dinitrate, isosorbate mononitrate, erythritol tetranitrate, pentaerythritol tetranitrate. So here that isosorbate dinitrate, if you give by sublingual route, it will act very fast, short acting. Then calcium channel blockers, verapamil, diltiazem, nifedipine, amlodipine, nicardipine, nitrodipine, isradipine, penidipine. Then beta blockers, propranolol, atenolol, metoprolol, nadolol, bisoprolol, celiprolol. Then potassium channel opener, nicorandil. Then miscellaneous drugs. So these are the drugs most commonly we are using for myocardial infarction or ischemia. Here also we are using miscellaneous drugs. So miscellaneous drugs means like supporting drugs, adjuvanted drugs. In that antiplatelet drugs, aspirin, ticlopidine, clopidogrel, dipyridamole, cilostazol. Then cytoprotective drugs, trimetazidine, ranolazine. Then bradycardic drug, ivabradine. Then HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. This one, it will reduce our lipid level, cholesterol level. Atorvastatin, rosuvastatin. These are the drugs we are using for the MI. Then first we will see about organic nitrates. Here it is a polyalcohol esters of nitric oxide. It is a potent vasodilator. So these nitrates, they will directly relax the smooth muscles. Because of that one, that vasospasm will get relieved. The nitrates, it will because of that vasodilatation, it will reduce our preload and the myocardial muscle tension by dilating the veins. At the same time, they will reduce afterload by dilating the arteries. What is preload? What is afterload? Preload means before contraction of the heart, how much the heart become dilated. That is a preload. If it is a more blood to the heart, it will dilate more. So by dilating veins, the more there will be a less amount to the ventricles. Because of that one, the preload will become reduced. Then afterload. Afterload means like a heart while contraction, how much amount it pushing out the blood. That is afterload. So here by dilating the arteries, it will reduce the afterload because the left ventricle should pump the blood through the aorta. Aorta is a kind of artery. So by dilating the artery, that pressure will be reduced. Because of that one, afterload also reduced. So both of these actions, it will lower the oxygen demand by decreasing the workload of heart. By reducing preload and afterload, they are reducing the workload of the heart. So because of that one, if less work means we need less energy only. So lower oxygen demand. Then here the nitrate mechanism of action. So nitrate, what it will do? It will lead to nitric oxide, NO, will be released. It will activate guanylyl cyclase. This guanylyl cyclase will convert GTP into cyclic GMP. This cyclic GMP will activate a cyclic GMP dependent protein kinase. So this one finally lead to relaxation of the smooth muscles, vascular smooth muscles. Then therapeutic uses, first one angina pectoris. For that angina pectoris, we have to give sublingual or oral nitroglycerin we can give to terminate the acute attack of angina or for short-term prevention of angina. The nitroglycerin ointment also available. It is applied to the chest skin. It will act within the 15 minutes and last for about 3 to 8 hours it will last. Then nitrate free period of about 8 hours between two applications to avoid the development of tolerance. Nitrate free period of 8 hours. Like first you have to apply ointment. Then you have to give some 8 hours gap. Then after that you have to apply another application. Because if you continuously, if you apply, you will become tolerated to that nitrate. Then if anginal pain persists in case sublingual oral ointment, if you are giving, then also that the pain not relieving means we have to give IV infusion of nitroglycerin. We have at the same time we have to monitor the blood pressure also, because nitroglycerin will produce vasodilatation. Because of that one, our blood pressure will be reduced more. So we have to monitor blood pressure also. Then heart failure also we are treating with the nitroglycerin. Then it is used for more for congestive heart failure than left ventricular failure. In emergency situation, IV nitroglycerin can be used. Then sublingual nitroglycerin isosorbate nitrate most commonly used. Then myocardial infarction, in that place also we are using this nitrates. Nitroglycerin IV or transdermal patch. Then protective effect against MI for a period of 72 hours it will give. Then nitrate therapy in post-infarction period also we can use. It will provide anginal pain relief. Then esophageal spasm. So somebody will feel our abdomen is more contracting, more spasm. For that also sublingual glycerol trinitrate we can give. It should be taken before food. Then biliary colic pain. For that also we can take isosorbate dinitrate or glycerol trinitrate. It will give the relief very fast. Then cyanide poisoning also we can use these nitrates, because usually if you take cyanide, like movies under we will say people will take like a terrorist, they will take cyanides. So they will take either by oral or inhalation. Those cyanide ions, they will chelate this ferric ions from the cytochrome oxidase. The cytochrome oxidase is a main enzyme present in our liver. So it is used for our day-to-day life, like our metabolism. For all kind of things, this enzyme is used. From this enzyme, that ferric ion will be taken up by this cyanide. Because of that one, our tissue will become anoxia. Our tissue can't able to take oxygen. There will be a seizure and coma. Finally, there will be a death. So to prevent this cyanide poisoning, if we give sodium nitrate or amyl nitrate, what it will do? It will go and bind with the hemoglobin and turn the hemoglobin into methemoglobin. This methemoglobin is more affinity for this cyanide ions. So methemoglobin, it will bind with this cyanide ions and it will form cyanomethemoglobin. The cyanomethemoglobin is a unstable one. At the same time, simultaneously, if you give sodium thiosulfate, what it will produce? It will bind with the cyanomethemoglobin and the sodium thiocyanate. The sulfate will go away. The cyanide will bind with here. So sodium thiocyanate. The sodium thiocyanate is soluble in water, so it will be excreted through the urine. Then again, this hemoglobin is used for our like a normal day-to-day activity, kind of oxygen carrying capacity. So this is how for cyanide poisoning also we are using nitrates. Then available forms, nitroglycerin sublingual oral ointment as a 2%, the transdermal patch, it is available. Isosorbate dinitrate sublingual oral available. Then isosorbate mononitrate oral available. Erythritol tetranitrate sublingual oral. Then pentaerythritol tetranitrate oral available. Then this is sublingual tablet 0.5 mg. Then isosorbate dinitrate 10 mg. You have to give it sublingually. Then adverse effect, because of vasodilatation, it will produce throbbing headache, dizziness, weakness, nausea, vomiting, incontinence, hypotension, reflex tachycardia, syncope, then pallor, flushing, sweating. Then in large doses, there will be a more methylhemoglobinemia and cyanosis. Then contraindication and cautions. So here allergy to nitrates, if the patient having hypersensitivity, we have to be more careful. Then if the patient having severe anemia, there will be a decreased cardiac output by the nitrates. So it should not be given because anemia, if you give nitrate, it will reduce the cardiac output. Already patient in anemia. Anemia means what? Less iron. Because of that one, less oxygen supply. At the same time, nitrate will also produce the reduce the cardiac output. Because of that one, we won't get that much oxygen blood. That is, if you give nitrates in anemic patient, it is very dangerous. Then head trauma, cerebral hemorrhage, you should not be given because relaxation of cerebral vessel can lead to intracranial bleeding. If you relax the vessels, it will keep on bleeding. If you constrict the blood vessels, there will be no bleeding. So for that one, head trauma and the cerebral hemorrhage, you should not give. Then pregnancy and the lactation also, you should not give because it is potential harm to the fetus. So pregnancy lactation, it is contraindicated. Then hepatic renal disease also is contraindicated because the drug is metabolized and excreted through the hepatic and the renal part only. So there is a alteration in the drug metabolism and the excretion. Then here the nursing implementations. So here the nurse have to instruct the patient not to swallow the sublingual preparation because they should be kept under the tongue. It should not be swallowed to ensure therapeutic effect. And take 3 tablets with a 5-minute interval for a total of 3 doses. So 3 times they have to take the dose in case the pain not subsiding. Then if the pain then after 3 doses also not subsiding means we have to see the medical help. Then ask for presence of burning sensation to ensure drug potency. Because if you give the drug, it will produce some burning sensation because you are giving under the tongue. If it is producing burning sensation, it will tell the drug is working. Then protect the drug from sunlight to maintain the drug potency. Then for sustained release forms, like they will keep on release the drug. It will take the drug with water and do not crush. For this preparation and need to reach GID. Then rotate injection site. Then rotate injection sites and provide a skin care as appropriate to prevent a skin abrasion and a breakdown. Then avoid abrupt stop of long-term therapy, because if the patient taking the drug long term, you should not stop very abruptly, like very fast. You should not stop. We have to taper the dose for 4 to 6 weeks to prevent a myocardial infarction. Then provide a comfort measures like a small frequent meals, appropriate room temperature and light, noise reduction, ambulation assistance, then reorientation and skin care. These are all things, comfort measures you should be given. Then calcium channel blockers. Calcium channel blockers also we are prescribing. So all calcium channel blockers, they will decrease heart rate and the contractility and the coronary vasodilatation. Then verapamil diltiazem, they will produce more nodal depression. Nodal depression means SA node, SA node, AB node. So in that nodal depression, they will decrease the heart rate and the contractility. Then the vasodilatation. Our nifedipine and amlodipine, they will produce more vasodilatation than the nodal depression. So here verapamil is used for all types of angina, supraventricular tachycardia, then post-infarction protection, then hypertension. Diltiazem used in angina and atrial tachycardia. Nifedipine, amlodipine, all those things. Then with the beta blockers, they are used for stable angina and principal angina, because in principal angina there is a vasospasm. So for that one, we can use nifedipine, amlodipine with the beta blockers. Then adverse effect, there will be a dizziness, lightheadedness, fatigue, headache, nausea, hepatotoxicity, then hypertension, bradycardia, peripheral edema, flushing, rash, all because of vasodilatation. Then contraindication, if a patient allergic to the drugs or any renal or hepatic dysfunction, then if there is a heart failure, because same thing with the nitrates. Then nursing implementations, we have to monitor the blood pressure and the heart rate to detect any possible development of adverse effect, then provide a comfort measures for the patient to tolerate the side effect, like a small frequent meals for nausea, limiting noise, controlling room light temperature to prevent aggravation of stress. Then educate the patient on measures to avoid angina attacks. Like we have to give some diet changes and the rest periods also. The patient should not be active that much. Then emphasize to the patient the importance of strict adherence to the drug therapy. So ensure the patient taking the drug completely, strictly they are adherence to the therapy. Like that we have to see. Then beta blockers. Beta blockers is a beta adrenergic blockers which block or less the effect of sympathetic stimulation. So they are also called as sympatholytic. They will decrease the blood pressure, contractility, then heart rate while blocking the beta receptors in the heart and the juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney. This combined effect reduces the oxygen demand of the heart. So usually it is used with the beta blockers with the nitrates because of reduced adverse effect. So if we add beta blockers with the nitrates, it will reduce the adverse effect and it will increase the exercise tolerance. Then it is not indicated for variant angina because of vasospasm. Then cardioselective beta blockers, metoprolol, atenolol are more preferred. Then nadolol is used for management of chronic angina. It is a drug of choice in angina patient with hypertension. So angina patient with hypertension, nadolol is the preferred one. Then here the adverse effect, emotional depression, dizziness, fatigue, sleep disturbance, pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, then heart failure, reduced cardiac output, arrhythmia, cough, bronchospasm, dyspnea. These are all things can happen with the beta blockers. Here the nursing implementation. So drug you should be given ordered following safe and appropriate administration to ensure the therapeutic effect and the comfort measures. In cardiopulmonary status, we have to monitor continuously regarding vital signs. Then you should not be stopped abruptly, because otherwise it will produce a rebound hypertension and a myocardial infarction. Then potassium channel opener. Here the potassium channel opener, its mechanism of action, it will open the potassium channel, ATPase, potassium ATPase channel. Because of that one, there will be more potassium efflux. That will lead to membrane hyperpolarization. Because of hyperpolarization, calcium cannot entry. So there will be a reduced calcium entry. Because of that one, a reduced intracellular calcium. So smooth muscle relaxation. If it is more calcium, there will be contraction. If it is less calcium, it will lead to smooth muscle relaxation. That's how this potassium channel opener working. Then nicorandil, it is a potassium channel opening. It will activate ATP sensitive potassium channel. It will reduce both preload and afterload, then coronary vasodilation. Used in stable interference metal angina, 10 to 20 mg BD orally. Side effect, flushing, palpitation, headache, nausea, vomiting. Then the antiplatelet drugs, other miscellaneous drugs, so mostly we are using aspirin, otherwise clopidogrel. So aspirin in low dose 75 mg to 325 mg daily, effective in reducing the incidence of ischemia. Then ticlopidine, clopidogrel, prasugrel, they will act by inhibit the binding of ADP to its receptor P2Y1 and P2Y12 irreversibly, and reduce the platelet aggregation. Because of platelet aggregation only our thrombus block, arterial block happening, it will prevent this platelet aggregation. Then clopidogrel, it is a safer drug and used as prophylactic alone or adjuvant for unstable angina and prevent thrombosis. So here the ticlopidine 250 mg BD orally or clopidogrel as a loading dose 300 to 600 mg, maintenance dose 75 mg OD. Then prasugrel loading dose 60 mg followed by 5 to 10 mg OD. Then cilastazole. Cilastazole is a PDE3 inhibitor, phosphodiesterase 3 enzyme inhibitor. It will promote vasodilation and it will inhibit platelet aggregation also. So it is used as a adjuvant in anti-anginal therapy, 100 mg BD orally. Then dipyridamole. Dipyridamole, it will inhibit adenosine deaminase enzyme. It will degrade that is adenosine, and it will inhibit phosphodiesterase enzyme also. So because of that one, there will be accumulation of adenosine and cyclic AMP. So this adenosine and the cyclic AMP both, it will inhibit platelet aggregation. It will release PGI2, prostaglandin I2. So this one is a potent vasodilator. So it is not used in the treatment of angina. Then it is mainly used for the prophylaxis of coronary and cerebral thrombosis in post-MI and post-stroke patients. So after MI or after the stroke, it is given for a prophylactic. So hereafter the coronary or cerebral thrombosis should not happen. For that purpose, we are giving. Then to prevent a thrombosis in patient with the prosthetic heart valves, it is used along with the warfarin. Here the side effect, headache, tachycardia, and exacerbation of angina. In cytoprotective drugs, cytoprotective drugs means they have to protect the cells from the necrosis. Because of less oxygen supply, the heart myocardial cells become necrosis. So to protect that one, we are giving these drugs as an adjuvant only. Trimetazidine, it is a new calcium channel blocker. It is a type of cellular anti-ischemic drug. It will prevent a degradation of membrane unsaturated fatty acid. So that every myocardial cell will have membrane. In that membrane, there will be unsaturated fatty acid. So to destroy that cell, we need to destroy this one. So this trimetazidine, what it will do? It will prevent the degradation of membrane unsaturated fatty acid. That's why it will reduce the myocardial oxygen demand. It also inhibit the superoxide cytotoxicity. Superoxide means free radicals. Free radicals also will destroy our cells. So it will inhibit that superoxide cytotoxicity to protect the myocardium. It is used in unstable, used in stable angina, infarction sequel, then ischemia of labyrinth. As in Meniere's disease also we are using. Then ranolazine. Ranolazine also cytoprotective drug. How it will act means it inhibit inward sodium current during ischemia. Because of sodium current inward, our cells become die because of that one. So it will inhibit that inward sodium current. So it will reduce the calcium load in the cardiac muscle by sodium calcium exchanger. It increases exercise tolerance to angina, 500 mg BD orally, it is given. Then bradycardic agent. Bradycardic agent means that the drug will produce bradycardia. That is ivabradine. In that brad, there is a bradycardia. Ivabradine, it will block hyperpolarization activated current through sodium channels present in the SA node. In our SA node, there is a sodium channel. In that sodium channel, because of that one, we are getting heart rate. This drug, it will block that sodium channel. Then it will reduce myocardial oxygen demand by decreasing the heart rate. There is a visual disturbance at night. It is a side effect with evaporative. Then HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. This HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors are not same thing. Lipid lowering drug. It will reduce the cholesterol. Statins, commonly we will say, this is a supportive therapy. It's a lipid lowering property with the antiplatelet property. For example, atorvastatin and rosuvastatin. Okay, next we will see up to drug therapy of myocardial infarction. Okay, if the patient coming with the MI, what we will do? So pharmacologically, there is a two option, either drugs or another one surgery. So we will see about myocardial infarction drug therapy. So what is myocardial infarction? There is a prolonged myocardial ischemia, reduced blood flow. Finally, it will lead to myocardial infarction. So due to occlusive coronary thrombus, thrombus means a stationary blood clot. If the blood clot is staying in one place, that is thrombus. If it is moving, blood clot transported by the blood, that means it is embolus. Because of this one, our coronary artery will become occluded. In common term, we will say heart attack. That is infarction. That is a death of an area of tissue due to interruption in the blood supply. Then tissue distal to obstruction. If there is obstruction here, distal to that area, it will die and replaced by non-contractile scar tissue. So because of this one, non-contractile, the heart not able to contract. So it will become weak. There will be a resorption of conduction system of the heart because of dying of tissues. It will produce a sudden death by triggering ventricular fibrillation. In ECG, we can tell it as a ST elevated MI or non-ST elevated MI. Then T wave, PQRST, T waves, they get flattened or inverted. And for that drug therapy in acute MI, aspirin we will give all patients with a definite or suspected. If the patient have definite myocardial infarction or they will suspect something, for that kind of cases, they have to receive aspirin at a dose of 160 mg or 325 mg at once. So 325 mg mostly they are giving some 7 tablets, so they will give at one time. Then if the patient allergic to aspirin, they can start clopidogrel 75 mg daily orally. Then thrombolytic therapy. Because of thrombus only we got this myocardial infarction. So because of that one, we have to give thrombolytic therapy. It will reduce the mortality and limit the size of infarct in patients with MI. So it should be initiated within the first 3 to 4 hours. Then only it will produce a greater benefit. For that, we are giving streptokinase or anistrapase. So many drugs are there. First, we will see streptokinase. Streptokinase, what if we give streptokinase, it will produce a rapid coronary artery opening, but it is less effective. In case there is a prior exposure previously, if you take streptokinase, again, if we are giving streptokinase means it will produce hypersensitivity reaction. That is very, very more common. Then it should be given by IV infusion, very slowly. Then anistrapase. Anistrapase is similar to streptokinase, including allergy and hypertension. The streptokinase also will produce hypertension, allergy. Anistrapase also will produce allergy and hypertension. Then alteplase. Alteplase most commonly used by recombinant DNA technique. It is produced. It is a thrombus specific, and it has a shorter half-life. So what it will do means, if you give alteplase, there will be early re-occlusion possible. Like we will give alteplase, that occlusion will be get relaxed, but again the occlusion will happen. So it need to be given IV heparin concomitantly. But heparin will do, it is a anticoagulant drug. So because of that one, this occlusion cannot happen again. So we have to give IV heparin at the same time concomitantly. Then retiplase. Retiplase is a recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. Then it is a longer half-life. It should be administered as a 2 bolus injection at 30 minutes apart. One bolus injection, then 30-minute gap, again second injection. Then tenecteplase. Tenecteplase is a genetically engineered mutant of alteplase. It is a longer half-life, increased fibrin sensitivity, and increased resistance to plasminogen activator inhibitor 1. So it is also preferred one, because all these things are very, very costly. Alteplase, retiplase, tenecteplase. Then there's a urokinase. Urokinase is a cheaper one. There is a non-antigenic that not produce hypotension. It is cultured from the human kidney cells. Then it will directly activate the plasminogen. This plasminogen will convert into plasmin. That plasmin will lyse the clot. Then it is used on patient with MI, venous thrombosis, pulmonary embolism. It is given by slow IV injection. Only side effect is during the treatment time, patient may get fever. Then another choice, nitrates vasodilators. Nitroglycerin, it's a recurrent ischemia, and to lower the BP, it should be given. Infused very early, then only it will limit the infarct size and reduce the mortality. That beta blockers. So in that metoprolol, we are giving mostly 5 mg IV every 5 minutes for 3 doses. Then in early stages of MI, it will reduce the infarct size, prevent reinfarction, and reduce the chance of death. So it should be given early time. Then beta blockers avoided in patients in case the patient's heart rate is less than 50 beats per minute, systolic BP less than 100 millimeter mercury, asthma, heart failure. In those conditions, beta blockers should not be given. Then AC inhibitors, lisinopril, ramipril are mostly prescribed. It will prevent the remodeling of the heart and afford long-term survival. Then opioid analgesics and anti-anxiety, because the patient will have pain at the same time he may have anxiety also. For that also we need to give drugs. In that sublingual or IV nitrate to reduce the pain. In case the patient didn't get the pain, didn't relieved from the pain with sublingual or IV, we have to give opioid analgesics. That is morphine 4 to 8 mg or betadine 50 to 60 mg IV together with antiemetic. Because if you give morphine or betadine, the patient may get a vomiting sensation. So to prevent that one, we have to give antiemetic drug IV, not through the oral. Then diazepam, alprazolam are the anti-anxiety drugs. They will reduce the anxiety. Then anticoagulants, because the patient again may get myocardial infarction or clot. So prevent that one, we have to give heparin 5000 units every 12 hours subcutaneously, then followed by oral anticoagulants. And to prevent the thrombus extension, embolism, then venous thrombosis, also we are giving anticoagulants. Then low molecular weight heparin nowadays available, dalteparin and enoxaparin. They are preferred now because less expensive and they are convenient to use also. Then there is a less risk for a thrombocytopenia. Then what are the general measures? General measures, there is a low flow O2 therapy. We should not give more oxygen. We have to give at a minimal level. Then IV infusion of dopamine, dobutamine to increase the pumping action of heart. To increase the heart rate, we have to give dopamine, dobutamine. Then lignocaine or procainamide. In case the patient getting tachyarrhythmias, we have to give lignocaine or procainamide. Then atropine should be given to treat the bradycardia with the reduced cardiac output. 0.5 to 1 mg IP we have to give. Then deltiazem 180 to 240 mg daily to prevent a reinfarction and ischemia. Then hypolipidemic drugs if the patient with a hyperlipidemia. If the patient having more cholesterol, to reduce that one, we have to give hypolipidemic drugs, atorvastatin, rosuvastatin. So this is how we have to manage the myocardial infarction or angina pectoris patient. In case patient is ready for surgery, we can take further surgery also, angioplasty, angiogram, then angioplasty also we can do. Otherwise, a coronary artery bypass surgery also we can do. These are surgical procedures. Thank you. If you have any doubt, comment below the video. Thank you.